I also saw somebody posted Mel Kiper, you know, like during the draft, they do like a breakdown of every player. Bump, 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 bump. Like they do that thing on ESPN. So they had that video of Mel Kiper when Brady got drafted. It was on Twitter like the other day. It was quite good. Yeah, that could be a sub alert. At this. So this is Mel Kiper's latest that just came out, right? So let's take a look at it. Jacksonville Jaguars, Trevor Lawrence, number 1, shocked. He thinks Atlanta's going to move up to 2. So like there's a lot of crazy stuff. And now we have the Wilson trade info, right? It's like now they're like there's rumors that he's going to get dealt. So that would be kind of just another thing. Right? Like if Russ Wilson goes to any of those teams that were mentioned. Now I want to find the tweet. Here was the tweet. Developing. The Jets, Dolphins, Raiders, Saints have been linked to Russell Wilson. Many within the league believe a trade could happen. Russ Wilson in Miami is scary. I mean, sure, but like imagine Wilson on the Raiders. Right? With the talent that they have on the outside and at tight end on the Raiders. Imagine him on the Jets if they go out and spend because they have so much draft capital and so much salary cap space to go out and get these free agents. Like if they were to draft a rookie wide receiver and sign like Allen Robinson or something. Imagine him on the Saints. Right? Insane. Yeah, but the Broncos aren't linked. I mean, imagine any really good quarterback with the weapons that they have there. So Atlanta projected trade up, Zach Wilson being the target that he has for them. Miami Dolphins, Devonta Smith. Okay. Kyle Pitts at 4. I'm not saying that Kyle Pitts shouldn't be 4. Kyle Pitts looks tremendous. You know, it doesn't look like most teams are going to go this high on him. Right? Pass catcher. And I'm not going to say tight end because I don't think he plays tight end in the NFL. Even though he lines up at tight end, he's still he projects as a primary receiver. He projects as like Kelsey, Kittle type usage, right? Like 100 to 140 targets a year type guy is what he projects at. He projects as your number 1 pass catcher is what he projects at. This is the stuff that I'm interested in. I mentioned this the other day. I tweeted about it the other day. I want to know. I want to look at every year. And I want to be able to pull up players' prospect grades over a multi-year. Why is my earphones pulling? Over a multi-year sample. Right? So when Kiper says he's his highest graded tight end ever, I want to see the last 20 years of grades at tight end. I want to see every other tight end's grade when they were a prospect. I like represented in like Madden numbers, right? Like right now he is a X and his I grade his potential to be Y, right? Right now this rookie comes in with a prospect grade of 82 and he has a potential rating of 95. And then I want to see every one of those because Jamar Chase projects on most people's boards as the number from all the prospect people I've talked to so far behind the scenes that he projects as the number 1 receiver, not only in this class, but the number 1 graded wide receiver of like the last 5 or 10 years. but I want to compare and contrast. You know, I want to compare and contrast prospect grades over multiple years because I'm an idiot and I think that that's fun and cool. So like that's the way I want to be able to do things. And I don't know if I'm able to do things like that. But it just kind of is something that's very interesting to me for not for content's sake, but for discussion, right? I think it's a very interesting discussion that needs to be had. Or that people would love to have. It's like, okay, well, Pitts grades as this, but Gronk was this, and Kelsey graded as this. So, like, he grades higher than any of those guys, obviously, because, as I said, draft capital is part of the way that these guys get graded. But, like, Winslow Jr. graded off the charts. Shockey graded off the charts at tight end, right? These guys had first-round draft grades. So I want to know, how does he compare to them versus how did he compare to somebody who was picked a little bit lower in the draft but had a fantastic, you know, did everything as a pro, or were they just in the right system? I would love that context. Why talk football now? Because that's what we do on this stream, dude. Fant and Hawk, exactly. Like, Hawk was a first round draft pick. Fant was off the charts athletic. So was Gesicki. You know? Did Kelsey grade well? I don't remember. I honestly, like, off the top of them, I'd have to like dig and dig and dig. I remember him once he got into the league, but I don't remember him like later. How's it going, Jonah? So Kelsey was picked 63rd overall in 2013. If the Jets take Pitts this high, crazy, because Sewell falls to the Bengals, which I think is the dream situation for them. Right? They fix their offensive line. They can sign one more guy in free agency and then spend the rest of the draft everywhere else, right? So, like, you get a possible all-pro. No links, no links, no links. Don't worry, it's just 10 seconds. It's a little hand slap. Jamar Chase going to the Eagles. I think that this is probably the most lock pick if available. If he's there when the Eagles pick, I think I can't see them going another way. Approximate says, you're bad. No worries about the link. You can find pre-draft rankings. Yeah, no, you can find their rankings, but not their grades. Because I've talked to people at ESPN about this. I said, why can't I look up Todd McShay's? Why isn't there like a page where I can like see Todd McShay's draft grades? Like you can on like Football Reference. You can't see draft grades. Like I could say, okay, show me every rookie wide receiver season in the last 20 years from this time to this time, and then it'll just spit out all of the answers. I can do a query and it'll spit out all the answers and I can sort by any thing that I want. Why can't I look at, okay, show me all the wide receivers over the last 10 years from 2010 until the 2021 draft, sort by 40 time, right? Sort by draft grade, and just that's all I want. That would be amazing. Get to see how far off they are. No. Because how those players turn out has nothing to do with what their pre-draft grade is. You know? I mean, it could be, but that's looking at it wrong. Right? Like, I'm sure that there will be idiots on the internet that do that. But I don't think that that's... Right? A player can be a great prospect and fail. A player can be a mediocre prospect, but go to the perfect situation and thrive. But again, I'm pretty pragmatic and I like to think that I'm somewhat logical. So like, I do think that people are going to do that, but who cares? They're talking about your stuff. You're getting more clicks by doing that. It makes sense to do it because you're not trying to be disingenuous. You're not generating Skip Bayless clicks by doing that, right? If you put out all of your draft grades for the last 20 years where in a thing where people can query and sort them, I don't think that it comes down to, look, Mel Kiper had this guy rated here and he's a Hall of Famer. What a donkey. No, like he outperformed, right? Justin Jefferson was not supposed to break every rookie wide receiver record last year, but he kind of did, right? Does that make everybody a donkey for not having him as the wide receiver 1 on prospect grades? Or did it have something to do with the situation that he ended up in, where he was playing across from a wide receiver that commands double teams with a quarterback who's thrown for over 4,000 yards and 30 touchdowns each year he's been with that team, and a running back that demands 8 people be in the box. So he's getting single coverage on the outside all the time. And Jefferson looked like bad the first couple of games. He couldn't get on the field. He couldn't learn the playbook. He couldn't, Bill Polian said he gave Brady. Yeah, I heard that. I also saw somebody posted Mel Kiper, like during the draft, they do like a breakdown of every player. Bump, 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 bump. Like they do that thing on ESPN. So they had that video of Mel Kiper when Brady got drafted. It was on Twitter like the other day. It was quite good. Yeah, that could be a sub alert. Okay, San Fran he has moving up here to get Justin Fields at 7. I could definitely see the Lions trying to pick up assets and moving down. They do need to get a lot of picks. They have multiple Rams first rounders in future years. I think that Justin Fields could be good. I try not to fall into traps from lazy analysis, right? Other Ohio State quarterbacks have not been good. Therefore, Justin Fields will also not be good in the NFL, right? Cardale Jones, what's his name, was on the Raiders, fast dude, became a wide receiver for a couple of years. Haskins. So therefore, because those guys weren't good, this guy also cannot be good, right? That's lazy analysis. Terrell Pryor. Each one of them are their own athletes and their own prospects. So saying that Justin Fields is just going to be Haskins is lazy as hell. Or he's just going to end up being Pryor is lazy as hell. Right? We know what they did in the pros, so we know what he's going to do in the pros. No. So if he had gone to Oklahoma, you'd have viewed him differently than if he chose to go to Ohio State? That's silly. Mac Jones at 8. That's higher. I thought, okay, so I had him at 15, right? In our last mock draft a few weeks ago. And I'm like, I think I'm going off the reservation here at 15. Putting him that high. But Kiper's got him at 8 to the Panthers now. Interesting. It's important to get a young quarterback who could play. Trey Lance, he has the Patriots trading up. That's 3 trades in the top 10. Go watch QB1 Fields' class. Okay. I'm not making a decision. You don't like being timed out. Don't be an a-hole. If you don't want to be here, Todd, go somewhere else. If you want to be here, be nice. Fit in. It's pretty simple. If not, go somewhere else. Belichick and the Patriots have been quiet this offseason. They have money to spend in free agency. They need a quarterback. It all makes sense. And still, I didn't see that until now, Tom. Patrick Surtain to the Dallas Cowboys. Every single mock draft has Patrick Surtain II going to the Dallas Cowboys. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. Everyone. You don't want Jimmy G here. Don't need a game manager QB. Fair. Yeah. I mean, if they go up and get Fields, Mina Kimes tweeted something yesterday that I thought was kind of interesting. Since 2015, all the quarterbacks that have been drafted that have had success in the first round have been mobile quarterbacks. All the pocket guys have not done so well. I mean, there's no way they're getting Russ Wilson. There's no way that the Seahawks trade Wilson in conference, in division. That's not happening. Here, division opponent, have our all-pro quarterback forever. What are we looking at right here? We're looking at the mock draft that Mel Kiper put out this morning. Jalen Waddle to the Giants. Interesting. They've had good players at pass catcher. They do. The question is, does Waddle project? And this is something I'm going to ask JJ and them about. Oh, you meant to the Pats. Okay, fair enough too. Does Jalen Waddle project as a number one receiver, or does he project as Batman, or does he project as Robin? Good players, but no true number one. I agree with that. But stop trying to send all the good quarterbacks to the NFC East. Does he project as Batman or Robin? You also have the fact, I think Tate's gone. I think Ingram has an out. They can release him and not owe him anything and not take a cap hit. Shepard's better in the slot. Slayton looks good. Definitely the top deep threat in this class. That I know. But can he do the short to intermediate stuff? And it's tough to judge talent at Alabama, to me at least, right? Aside from the fact that if you're on the field at Alabama, if you're on Alabama's roster as a scholarship guy, you're a 4 or 5-star athlete. That's one. You're a pedigreed athlete if you're on Bama, right? If you're on the field at Bama, you're the most, you have the highest practice and game performance of all those 4 and 5 stars. So you're clearly mega talented. Right? And we looked at those 4 from last year when they had Smith and Judy and Ruggs and Waddle. And those were the 4 guys. And then Waddle got hurt quarter to halfway through this season after a few games. And in the games that he had played against SEC opponents earlier in this season, statistically, he outperformed Smith. Now, that may be because defenses rolled to Smith. That may be because, who knows? Right? And again, if you're on Alabama, you're going to be open. Right? So I want their opinion on these wide receivers. So this is why I have these guys here. I just want to have the conversation. You guys get to be here for the conversation. It's going to be a good time. Micah Parsons going to them. This is somebody that we had in the top 10 before, and then like I had said before, quarterbacks are going to move up, right? So how many quarterbacks does he have? Is it all 5? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 quarterbacks in the top 9 picks 2 wide receivers and an offensive lineman, right? Which kind of seems about right. Midway Monster, thank you for the 6 months getting that gold VIP badge. Rashawn Slater to the Chargers. Offensive line makes sense. They have all of the pieces that they need on offense and defense at skill positions, so improve that. Best interior lineman going to the Vikings here. I mean, he's graded as the top guard. A lot of drafts had him earlier in mock draft season in like the 20 to 30 range. Seeing him moved up here to 14 does not surprise me, right? Team that has a need at that position that's pretty much set at other offensive skill positions. Get a guy that could be, if he pans out, he's a starter that could be there for 10 years. Offensive lineman with top 10 draft grades and top 20 draft grades tend to bust way less than other positions. Broncos trading down, get Caleb Farley. I mean, clearly they have all the offensive pieces they need other than a quarterback. We're expecting them to trade for or sign a quarterback. J.C. Horn, South Carolina going to the Cardinals. They're going to need a cornerback. That makes sense. Morig from TCU, drafting another safety in the first round. Yikes. Dolphins taking a linebacker. They have so many draft picks. They can do whatever they want. Darisaw, offensive tackle, going to Washington. Interesting. Bears taking Kadarius Toney. This seems okay. They have Tariq Cohen coming back, a small, fast, undersized guy. They have the rookie wide receiver they had last year, Mooney. They're probably going to lose Allen Robinson, but isn't Toney a redundancy with Mooney? They kind of feel like they're the same stuff. They kind of feel like they're the same guy. Gregory Rousseau from Miami. Miami's got those 2 defensive linemen that are like going to be really, really solid. People are comparing Toney to Tyreek. Everybody like compares small, fast wide receivers to Tyreek Hill, right? In the 80s in basketball, I'm not saying he is that either, Jonah. Every single tall point guard was the next Magic Johnson, right? Which is just odd to me. Like, they can't all be that. And every smallish, right, fast wide receiver, anybody that runs a sub 4.4 and is sub 6 feet is now being compared to Tyreek Hill. I've seen Tyreek Hill comps with Jalen Waddle, but he's over 6 feet. I've seen them before with Kadarius Toney being compared to him as well. It's really, please. Let him be him. Stop comparing. Like, Tyreek Hill is very possibly the best deep threat wide receiver in the history of football. Randy Moss is in that group, and he's in that group. Like, unsustainable amounts of 25, 35, 50 plus yard catches, touchdowns over 35 and 50 yards, all those sorts of things. So, like, I get that he's small and he's fast. Mecole Hardman had Tyreek Hill comps. Look, he's the same size. Look, he has a long ADOT. Look, he has a lot of touchdown catches. But, like, Tyreek Hill is not that. Tyreek Hill is really good at contested catches. Tyreek Hill is really good against press coverage. You can't just say, well, he's short and he's fast, and so Tyreek. That doesn't work. Toney draft grades are very wide, first round through 4th. Interesting. Tyreek has great. Yes. Tyreek has great hands in close spaces too. Not that he has to make very many contested catches, but it happens every once in a while. But he does very well with those. So Rousseau going to Indy there. The other Miami defensive end who I just spoke about going to 22. Kwity Paye, defensive end. Here come all the defensive players. And here's the center going to Pittsburgh. Makes sense. With Pouncey retiring. Barrymore, offensive or defensive tackle from Alabama. I mean, draft all the Alabama defensive players that you can ever. Seems to go well more often than it does not go well. Zaven Collins from Tulsa. Terrence Marshall Jr. from LSU. Again, LSU wide receivers, another solid group. Defense. Tryon defense going to the Packers. They sure need defense. Beefing up that offensive line for the Bills makes sense when you have an MVP type quarterback. Walker Little going to Stanford also makes sense. And Georgia edge rusher Azeez Ojulari going to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. That wraps up the first round. I think that's pretty interesting. Obviously, very exciting for fantasy purposes at the top of the first round. Much more NFL on-field oriented at the back end of the first round, but fun nonetheless. So thank you for joining. Look out for another video there.
He's a legend.